Ariel Helwani in Boston alongside Paul Felder, who meets Daron Cruickshank this Sunday night on UFC Fight Pass. And Paul, it's good to see you. And I want to start there because you are part of this sort of revolution that the UFC is starting with putting a big fight on UFC Fight Pass, a fight that generally would either be, on the main card or at least the headlining act on the prelims. How do you feel about this spot that you've been put in?
At first, it looked like I was on the prelims, and then they switched me to Fight Pass. And at first, I was like, "Oh man!" And I got an inbox from a couple different people that work at the UFC, and they're like, "Hey, listen, this is big. This isn't knocking you down a peg. This is actually kind of boosting you guys up. We think that you and Cruickshank is an amazing fight, and we handpicked you guys to headline the Fight Pass." And I'm excited about it. I mean, the amount of attention and media that I'm getting from you guys and the UFC promoting it and highlights and stuff on their Twitter and on website it's amazing. So it feels good to be headlining it, and I don't mind being on that stuff. For me, this is just get in there and get back in the win column. So whether it's got to be on Fight Pass or the main event, it's not going to change my performance.
Yeah, it's almost like a vote of confidence from the UFC that they handpicked you and put you in this spot. And I'm wondering if you kind of feel like you have something to prove, because I know you suffered a setback recently, and you started out, people were very excited. Do you feel like, okay, I got to do something to remind people that I'm actually a legitimate threat at 155?
Yeah, I think this is what needs to happen in a lot of people's careers. I think you get a taste of the good life a little bit, and not that I was an idiot with it or doing anything dumb and walking around like I was amazing, but it was like, oh, I was so used to winning. I was so used to just at the end of the day somehow I'm gonna get the decision. And 2 times in a row I learned, well, that doesn't always happen, and especially as you start fighting these bigger names, these tougher guys, it's going to get harder and harder. So it was just an eye-opening moment for me to take those 2 losses, and I feel like I'm more motivated than ever, and I do feel like my back is against the wall a little bit, and in a good way. Not in a, oh, I'm not worrying about getting cut. I'm not worrying about all that kind of nonsense. I can't change any of that. All I can do is get in there and fight my butt off on Sunday night.
Will you change the way you fight because you've lost these close decisions?
I will change how I approach some things, but as for my style and throwing down and getting in people's faces and getting angry, that's all going to be there. That's me. I mean, that's not something I unfortunately, can help too much, which is just how I was born. When I get hit, I want to fight you even harder. So that will still be there. But I think you'll see me just be a little bit more calculated, kind of how I was when I fought Danny. I kind of got away from that and then had some setbacks. So really, it's just a matter of kind of getting back to me and who I am as a martial artist. I know Daron said I'm a bully and not a martial artist, but he needs to check his facts, because if anybody in this division is a martial artist, I'm one of them.
Recently, I'd heard some unfortunate news about your father, and I was just wondering if you can not so much clear it up for us, but explain what's going on, and also how you're dealing with this surrounding a big fight for you.
Well, we found out that my father has cancer. He had found a mass in his pancreas, and as soon as I get home, basically from this fight, he's got to start, chemotherapy and treatments and try to shrink it and get in there and remove it. So when I first heard it, it was like it couldn't come at a worse time. You know what I mean? It was a couple weeks out from the fight, and maybe even less than a couple weeks out from the fight, honestly. And but more than anything, the way I'm looking at it and the way I'm handling it right now is it's just motivation, because there's nothing that can happen to me in that cage or during this weight cut that can even compare to what people, not even just my father, but anybody out there who's suffering from that kind of illness it's nothing. So I just got to do my job. This is my job. And I get to go home and spend time with my family, and it's going to be with a win.
How is your dad doing right now?
He's good. He's just getting ready to start this stuff, and he's just upset. He's trying to stay positive like all of us, and taking it one day at a time. And he's talked to me a few times, and I got to hang out with him a lot before I came out here, and he's doing what he's got to do, and they'll be sort of watching on Sunday like my parents always do. It'll be on in the background, so they'll turn on Fight Pass, and then they'll both leave the room.
Oh, really?
Is what they'll do, yeah.
Is that the routine?
Yeah, even if they're at the fight, they will watch me walk to the cage and then leave the arena.
Wow.
And wait for somebody to text them and say, oh, he won, oh, it's close, or whatever.
So they may not watch, but I'm wondering if, considering the news that both your father and your family have received as of late, in the back of your mind you're thinking, you know what, this is not going to cure your father, obviously, what happens on Sunday. But maybe Sunday night, the Felders can be happy, not think about it for a second. Like, are you thinking that, I can maybe give him some motivation as he goes into the chemo treatments?
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying this whole year, it started off a little weird because of finding this out, but it's a new year. It's 2016. I'm fighting for more than just wins and losses and money. I have a daughter as well back home. She's 8 months old. My father's, going through what he's going through. So I just feel super motivated, and I just really want to do well for my family and for my, mother and father, and help them out as much as I can. And moving up the ranks and kicking people's asses is only going to help that situation.
Well, most importantly, I wish the very best to your father. If he produced you, he must be one hell of a tough guy. So I'm sure and hope that everything goes well for him and your family. And I wish you the best on Sunday. Can't wait for the fight. Thank you for the time.
Thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. It's always fun.